Hello and welcome back to the Hindustan Times podcast. I'm your host, Shashank Matu, reporting from Washington, D.C. For the last 7 months, an Indian Navy vessel has been on an extraordinary journey across the world. INS Sudarshini, which is one of the Indian Navy's sail training ships, set sail from Kochi in January this year on a 10-month voyage that will take it all over the world across 13 countries and 22,000 nautical miles. Today, that ship is all the way over here in America, which is a very, very long way from Kochi. It's in Boston specifically for the celebrations of America's 250th anniversary. And I have the privilege of speaking with the man who commands her, Commander Ravikanth Nandoori, who is actually on board the ship right now. Commander Nandoori, thank you so much for speaking with us. You have been on this extraordinary journey on the seas for the last 6-7 months. You started all the way in Kochi in January. You have been crisscrossing the world. You are now in America. Tell us about the journey. Tell us about the ship that you're commanding, INS Sudarshini.
Thank you so much, Shashank, for having me on the show. For the viewers, good morning. I'm Commander Ravikanth Nandoori. I'm the commanding officer of Indian Naval Sail Training Ship, INS Sudarshini. So, INS Sudarshini is one of two Indian Navy sail training vessels where we impart sail training to the cadet officers of Indian Navy, Indian Coast Guard, and friendly foreign navies before they get commissioned as commissioned officers in the Navy and the Coast Guard. So they come to us in the fourth year or the last semester of their training in the Naval Academy. So INS Sudarshini is currently on a 10-month deployment, trying to cover 13 different countries, 18 different ports, and 21 port calls over a total duration and distance of 22,000 nautical miles. Started from Cochin, India on the 20th of Jan, and we'll be terminating our journey back at Kochi on the 5th of November this year.
Right.
So traveling about 6 months and 14,000 miles to date and crossing 4 major oceans, being the only vessel coming from Asia, traveling all the way across from Indian Ocean to Atlantic and reaching the shores of United States to celebrate the 250 years of independence is indeed a proud moment and a privilege for all of us and once in a lifetime opportunity.
Commander, can you tell us about where you have been so far? Because I think people will be very interested to know. You've been to a number of countries. You've been to the Middle East. You've been to France. You're now in America. Tell us about the journey so far. Where have you been so far?
So we started from India, as I said, in Kochi on 20th of Jan from Cochin. And our first port of call was Salalah in Oman. Thereafter, we came through the Gulf of Aden, entered the Red Sea, and entered Safaga first in Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, and thereafter Suez. We entered the Mediterranean and hit the port of Alexandria in Egypt. From Alexandria, we went to a place called Sète in France. The way United States is celebrating 250 years this year, France was celebrating 400 years of their maritime heritage. So we were one of two countries to be invited to participate in their festivities, along with Italy. So we were there in Sète for about 10 days in March and April. After that, we crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and entered Morocco, this port city of Casablanca. And in the Atlantic, thereafter, we went to a beautiful country called Las Palmas in the Canary Islands. And from Alexandria to, I missed out, from Alexandria to France, we hit another beautiful island nation called Malta in the Mediterranean. So from Casablanca, Morocco in the Atlantic, we visited Las Palmas in the Canary Islands, which is a Spanish protectorate. Thereafter, we came down south to another country called Cabo Verde. It's an island nation again, Cabo Verde, in the west of Africa. Very famously known for making their first, I'll say, entry into the World Cup this year.
Absolutely.
And also progressing to the second round. And thereafter, we had the longest journey yet during this mission of 19 days, crossing all the way from Cabo Verde to Antigua and Barbuda in the Caribbeans. And historically, we did this voyage completely under sails for an 18-day period. That is the longest continuous journey under sails by either of the sail training vessels.
Right.
And thereafter, from Antigua and Barbuda, we hit the shores of United States, starting with Norfolk, then on to Baltimore, then New York, and here we are at Boston. After this, we'll be hitting 7 different countries and 8 different ports before we head back to India, crossing again the Atlantic once more, reaching Ponta Delgada, which is a Portuguese island in the Atlantic, and then on to Lisbon in Portugal, to Barcelona, Spain, to Livorno, Italy, and then Alexandria, Egypt, through Suez, cross over into the Red Sea and hit the port of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, then Salalah in Oman, and back to India in November.
Right. I mean, it sounds like a fascinating and extraordinary sort of itinerary that you've had. Just a question, did you manage to make it through the Middle East and Suez before the outbreak of hostilities between the United States and Iran, or were you lucky enough to get in before?
So we were just about the confluence of Suez and Mediterranean when the hostilities broke out, and we were just off the coast of Saudi Arabia at the time. And however, we had already crossed over into the Mediterranean by the time the hostilities actually picked up, and we had no issues as far as the mission continuity was concerned, or anything that were majorly impacting our mission.
Right. Now, I hate to ask you to pick favorites, but you have been to so many countries. Tell us, has there been a favorite in particular?
Personally, there have been all the countries that we have visited have been our favorites, to be honest, because every country had something unique and different to offer. And this was one way that we could reach out on a diplomatic level in the naval diplomacy to strengthen the bonds that we already have made with all these countries that we have been visiting. So to be honest, all these countries had something to offer to us, and everything was a unique experience, and all of them are our favorites to date.
Right. And, of course, our viewers can see the tricolor fluttering behind you in the wind, in the Boston wind. Talk to us a little bit about what it's like, on this floating ambassador being really the symbol of India that's going around the world, meeting all these countries. What has the reception been like? And what has it been like for you personally to command a vessel like this?
So I'll be honest, commanding any Indian naval warship is a matter of pride and honor, and a huge privilege for all of us. And to be able to command INS Sudarshini at that, which is just one of the 2 sail training vessels of Indian Navy, that in itself is a unique opportunity that I've gotten. And to be able to participate in an event like this, a grand scale, 250 years celebrations is something which happens obviously once in every 250. And to be able to participate in such a grand scale of 10-year deployment about 13 different countries, that was definitely outstanding to me personally. And on a professional front as well, for the ship to be able to reach so many countries and expand our horizons and broaden them. One, in terms of seafaring, and 2, to be able to send across a message of India's diplomacy, India's diplomatic ties, Indian Navy's maritime reach, and the global presence itself that we could showcase to the entire world, and the maritime capabilities of Indian Navy, that we have the capability to reach the far reaches of the world, cross so many oceans, navigate through challenging weather systems, conditions, and oceans and water bodies, and reach halfway across the world, traveling 14,000 nautical miles, which is testament to Indian Navy's shipbuilding industry and the resilience. So it is a matter of immense pride and honor for all of us, and the experience has been surreal, to say the least. And the reception and warmth that we received from each and every country has been phenomenal. And it stands to time that India has a very good presence across the globe, and Indians at large are by far favored to be one of the most respectable community and the respectable nation in this world. And that was evident in the kind of reception we received in each and every port visit of ours throughout the journey.
Right. And can I ask you, because, I've been seeing so many videos of you on social media, lots of people from the Indian American community coming out and saying that, posting videos of themselves on INS Sudarshini. How has the Indian community reacted wherever you've been? Have they come out to see the ship and sort of meet with you, speak with you about your journey and your 14,000 nautical mile journey so far?
So it has been a wonderful experience, to be honest. It is said, and it is a fact even, when you step on the deck of this ship, you're on Indian soil.
Right.
So for the Indian diaspora in the United States or across the globe even, so whenever they do step on the ship, they feel like they're a part of India again, and they're stepping onto their motherland. and the experience that they get on this ship firsthand, it feels that they are back in their home country, in their hometowns, and the interactions that they have, especially being able to speak to their fellow countrymen in uniform in their favorite language of Hindi or any other, and being treated to a slice of India here in the hospitality that we extend to them. Their experiences have been very, very profound, and I've been complimented with so many praises and so many thanks by all the Indian diaspora that has visited the ship for bringing a slice of India to their shores so that they can experience the feeling of being an Indian and the patriotism that can only come on an Indian vessel. And they have been absolutely grateful, and so have we been, to be able to give them an opportunity to experience this once in a lifetime opportunity for them.
Could you tell us a little bit, Commander, about life on a sail ship over the last 7 months? How does it? Because when, of course, people thinking about this and looking at pictures of INS Sudarshini would say that, of course, it reminds them of something out of a 19th century movie, Master and Commander. This is how the ships used to look like. Tell us, how does it differ from your training in the past? Sailing this sail ship across the world. How has it been? What have been the challenges? How does it differ from sailing any other type of ship?
So, coming from a background where I have served on ships which are constantly under automation and machinery, so coming to a sail vessel at that, it is a totally different experience and a dramatic change, to say the least, but an experience that is one of its kind. Sailing on a sail training vessel is, in essence, the true spirit of what seafaring and sailing is all about. You're totally reliant on the winds, the seas, and the currents, which we have been trained as a basic navigational aspect during our training phase. And to be able to put that into practice, to be able to harness the winds available to you to the maximum, traveling from one place to the other, encountering and negotiating different kinds of weather systems, different kinds of oceanographic events that happen across the globe. Every ocean and every water body is different. The kind of challenges we negotiated in the Atlantic are totally different from what we encountered in the Mediterranean or the Red Sea. So to be able to navigate through these challenging waters, to prepare for that in itself, takes a lot of time and effort that goes into it. A lot of planning in terms of how to plan your entire passage from a singular port to the other. And for the last 7 months, for the entire journey, we have not planned it just at the spur of the moment. The planning and preparation towards this mission started in India way back in 2022. And for this ship, we commenced in May last year, in 2025. So it includes a lot of preparation that needs to go in, especially when we have the cadets who are under trainees who have no experience of this vessel, to be able to incorporate the safety element to it and train them as well on how to handle the ropes, how to handle the sails on a daily basis. That is an interesting and amazing experience. And I, being an aviator firsthand, flying at 250 to 300 knots miles an hour, coming down to a vessel which negotiates at 4 to 5 miles an hour on an average. It is a drastic change in pace where the ship tells you and teaches you, in fact, the value of hard work, patience, and to slow down once in a while in your life.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about the crew that you're sailing with? Of course, you're saying so trainees. Where are they from in India? Any foreign trainees with you? Tell us a little bit about the crew.
So the present lot of trainees that we have from the Naval Academy are about 147 in number. And we have the capacity to train about 30 cadets at any given time. So we have divided the 147 into 5 groups. And the first group sailed with us from Baltimore to New York and on to Boston. They just flew back to India on completion of their sail training with us. And the second batch will be joining us directly at Portugal, Lisbon. So currently I have a strength of 75 on board my ship. That included the 25 sea trainees and 3 training officers who joined us. With the regular crew that I have, only the ship's officers and the sailors is 47, which is a permanent crew in nature, who have sailed with me all the way from India and will continue to do so till we go back to India. that includes 8 officers and 39 sailors. So the number of cadets, it keeps varying between 25 to 30, with another additional complement of 2 to 3 training officers who join us. And they're from all parts of India. And in the uniform, in Indian Navy, we do not distinguish who comes from which part of the country, because all of us are here to serve the nation. So we all are Indians, essentially.
Could you tell us a little bit about, I hate to ask, about any hair-raising moments that you've had? Of course, you said 4 to 5 miles, you've across the world, you just managed to escape the US-Iran conflict breaking out. Have there been any hair-raising moments in that sense on your journey here with your young trainees, or has it been smooth sailing and fair winds throughout?
So seas are unforgiving. So it never happens that you'll always have a smooth sailing. So we did encounter certain challenging conditions in terms of the weather and the oceans. Predominantly one being in the Red Sea, where we had experienced about 60 miles an hour of headwinds.
Wow.
And for a ship which predominantly is dependent on the winds alone for navigation from one place to the other, 60 knots or 60 miles an hour of headwinds is a challenging experience for us to negotiate, one, the seas themselves and the confluence of Red Sea, where the currents change swiftly, and when you're passing through a narrow passage, especially, and you're encountering 60 knots of winds, that was absolutely challenging, and we were concerned whether we'll be able to make the next port of call or not. But thankfully, the winds and the weather assisted us subsequently, and to date, we have been able to negotiate all the challenges thrown at us by the seas and by the oceans, and we have been able to make good each and every port call on time, and in fact, a day prior in advance as well.
Right. I can ask you, Commander, just a last question.
Sure.
You've been sailing for the last 7 months. You will be sailing for 3 to 4 more. Can I ask you one experience that you will take away from this that you will not forget? It could be a natural wonder, a part of the world that you saw for the first time, visiting the Canary Islands for the first time, something that you won't forget, an experience you take away with you.
Thank you. It's an important question. A reason being, for this ship, INS Sudarshini, this is its maiden trans-oceanic and transatlantic voyage. So every port of call that we made, and we will be making from here and after, is a new experience for all of us. So all the port calls, all the oceans and water bodies that we have navigated, and every country that we have visited has been for the first time. And this being a maiden visit and a 10-month-long deployment at that, in itself is profoundly new and an amazing experience for all of us. So all the memories that we have made and we are likely to make in future as well will stay with us for a lifetime and are much more dearer and closer to all our hearts.
Understood. Commander Nandoori, you're standing on the deck of INS Sudarshini in Boston with the tricolor fluttering behind you. Thank you so much for talking to us about your journey on this floating ambassador, traveling the world, 14,000 nautical miles, as you say, 8,000 set to go. A couple more months on the seas for you. Of course, we all wish you fair winds and smooth sailing. And thank you so much for appearing on the Hindustan Times podcast to talk to us about your journey.
Thank you so much, Shashank. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. And thanks a lot for sharing this experience, firstly, and trying to reach out to as many as possible.